Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. It's Monday, the 16th of March. 2 weeks till the clocks go forward. That's good, isn't it? I think it is. Be dark in the morning, though, I think. Anyway, less of that. Welcome to another one of our little get togethers on the project. Um, we didn't do a review yesterday of the game because we had Phil Summerill's brother Steve on. It was absolutely brilliant chatting to Steve for an hour yesterday morning with the lads. It was good. If you want to see that, you can see it on YouTube. And I'll put it into the group later. You can just click on it if you want. Today we're going to do the Sheffield United review. So we look back on Saturday's game, have a little chat, have a look at the league at the moment, and see what everyone thinks, what's everyone's position and feeling about how things are going. Let's just have a little check around the way we usually do. Well, no one on here at the moment, so let's just wait and see. That's very unusual. 1 minute in, no one here. It's very weird. Oh, it's strange. I might have to come out and go back in again, I think, because that doesn't usually happen, where we have no one on at all for the first 2 minutes. We will give it just a few more seconds before we decide to come out and go back in. It's telling me that our frames per second isn't fast enough, but I don't believe that. We've seen that before, and it doesn't really say anything. Let's just give it one more little blast. We've got someone on now, so hopefully we're going to get a few comments now. There's a couple of people on, I think. Come and say hello. We've only got one person on, so do come and say hello to me and see who it is. It's going to be one of the usual suspects, I would think. I haven't had this frame per second thing come up for ages. I think the camera looks all right, doesn't it? I think. I'll give it one more little blast on the old expansion. Very strange. Two people up, no comments. Come and say hello. Come and talk. Let's get the conversation going. We're into the last 8, is it, games of the season now, and still in there with a chance. We're still buzzing around. It's such, I've said it before. I think it's a poor one, a poor championship this season. But we'll talk more about that now. Ian Platt's on. How you doing, Ian? Nice to see you, mate. Good day. Are you Australian, Ian? Just a good day. I thought you might be. Come and speak. It's going to be interesting to see what your thoughts are on Saturday's game. It was I thought it was a good game. We got a lot of incident in it. We completely dominated a Sheffield United team that was very, very well managed by Chris Wilder. Whatever you think of him, I'm not his greatest fan, but to be fair, he understands tactics really, really well, and that Sheffield United team play some nice football, and they do some unusual things. I mean, we did see the overlapping centre-backs, didn't we, in the second half, and that's a really, unusual thing for anyone to do. But Chris Wilder is quite famous for it. He's done it before. He did it in the Premier League and shocked a few people, I think. The first season they got promoted and they stayed up. But let's see. 4 people on now. We need to get some people come in and just having a little chat with us, I think. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit boring. Me talking to myself. Come and speak. Be nice to hear from you all. Very, very slow on the comment front today. We've usually got a few people talking by now, but let's have a little look, see if we can expand it a little bit. Perhaps there's some comments going on that we've missed. I don't know. Let me just see. We'll just expand them. No, we've only got Ian saying hello so far, so not brilliant, is it? As I was saying, the game for me was an interesting game. It was very entertaining, wasn't it? I mean, and it has to be said, and I know people come back and sort of complain about it, and and have a bit of a moan about the way we played or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with the way we played. It was nice possession football. We moved the ball around well. We could and should have scored 4 or 5 goals. That's how much in control we were. Paz is on. How you doing, Paz? Nice to see you, mate. And Paul James is here. Hiya, Paul. Yeah, I was a little bit early, I suppose. So I suppose a few people are a little bit late. Yeah, but I thought we completely controlled the game, totally dominated it, and I just think, how you doing, Lee? They got away with it, didn't they? And I think Chris Wilder's post-match comments, very, very flattering of us and of the manager. He said that we're not a team that's going to go hitting the ball long and trying to chase it. We're going to play football, and they knew they were up. They knew what they were up against, and they're similar to us in a way. Sheffield United, they are, and you can see they've got quality. They have some very good players, and going down to 10 men early on was a challenge for them. I think it was a little bit harsh, that sending off, but those can go either way. And yeah, he was sent off, of course, and we saw, straight away we took advantage of it, because the resulting free kick, we saw that absolutely brilliant dead ball from Marvin Dux. I've been critical of Dux over since he signed, really. At times he just goes missing, but when he plays like he did on Saturday, you haven't really got an answer for him, because he deserves his place. You play like that, you're going to play all day long, but it's just in other games he goes missing and we just don't even know he's playing. So that's the challenging thing with Marvin Dux. But I'm low volume, am I, Lee? Just give me one moment and I can see if I can get into settings and just change that. 1 minute. Okay, that might be better. Hope so. I've just put the volume up. Someone was saying about the volume, and I've played around with it a little bit. I did actually mess around with it a little before I came on today, because I was booming a bit yesterday. There's no there's no pleasing everyone, is there? But yeah, I've just turned the volume up a bit there, Lee. So hopefully you can all hear me now. So yeah, I think I think the performance on Saturday was good. Reading comments in some in our group, but mostly in others as usual. Thanks, Lou. Mostly others. Is this constant? Like, it does actually get a little bit boring when people say, this sideways, backwards, sideways, back. I mean, it's called possession football. I mean, if you don't understand it, it's fair enough. But if you think about it, what you're saying is you don't want the ball to be passed sideways or back. Fair enough. So I presume then what you want is when we get the ball and there's no short pass on forward, we just hoof it long. That is, I'm presuming that's what is meant by that. I don't know. If you can clarify it, it would be good if you're one of the people that said that. Ian Sandy watched Sheffield United game. I thought that we were a bit slow in attack and unlucky, but Wilder showed his experience over CD. However, I believe CD will become the better manager. Well, I think that's a really good point. I think what you have to remember is, he's a new Chris Davis. It's his second season in football management. Chris Wilder has been around for years and years and years, and he showed, that obviously with the more time you spend as a manager, more experience you get. But and like Ian just said, he showed his experience. We were, when you say we're a bit slow in attack, I mean, what happens when you go down to 10 men? You put a lot of people behind the ball, and that's what we had. And a lot of teams do that to us because they know how well we play. Our expected XG is in the top 6 in the division. We just don't, we don't meet that XG. Obviously, otherwise we'd be in the top 6. Steve Daniels is saying hello to me. How you doing, Steve? So, it depends, what football you like. Not everyone is going to like the style of football that you like. 9 times out of 10, we would have beat Sheffield United. We hit the woodwork 4 times. I know it was desperately unlucky, it really was, and your heart bleeds for them when it's like that. Um, this division is just absolute nightmare. You know, like I've said from the start of the season, it's not a strong championship this year. It's a very even championship, and to see Coventry at the top of it tells you a lot about it, really. There's some very, very good footballers in this division, and some good teams, but it's not a strong division. Lee saying, I really hope keep Chris Davis. I believe he's one of the best gaffers for a few years to come. He's good and get us promoted. Yeah, I got you, mate. You know, you want to stick with Chris Davis because he's going to get us promoted. I mean, I don't. The only doubt hanging over Chris Davis is what I think a small minority of supporters are saying. I don't know because I haven't done a poll of supporters, but people come on and they make comments like, you know, everyone says that, you know, it's too. Everyone doesn't say that. You say it's your opinion, and I know what it's like if if you're in the ground and you start saying like, you know, oh bloody hell, you know, they need to get it forward more, don't they? And look around, someone goes, yeah, you know, because they just want you to shut up. So you know, you when you're making comments, you're making them for yourself. You're not representing the whole of the support base. You're just not. Paul James saying Dux was very, very good. He was. He had that look of, I don't know, like he looked relaxed. He doesn't always look like that, but he was very, very confident on Saturday, and I love watching him when he's like that. He's a very, very good footballer. You know, it's just that he goes missing, and we can't afford to have a player missing. Of course, you can't. He did play really, really well. I thought Osman as well. I mean, some of Osman's covering was brilliant. You know, I mean, he was back defending, tackling, putting the foot in, chasing back. I do think actually Dimmy was a little bit quiet when he come on. Osman's been really good the last few games. Steve Daniels saying, and instead of feeling sorry for the lads for all that effort, CD cut out idiots come out straight away with their uneducated pass it sideways and backwards routine. It is, you know, Steve, it is, I don't want to say it's uneducated, but it's just boring, you know. I mean, it's like I said earlier, if you think the only thing that we should do is pass the ball forward, then what you're saying basically is set up like Wrexham, play with back four, back five, and when you get the ball, you just hopefully hit it forward. If that's what you like watching, fine. I've said a million times, I'd rather stay in the Championship forever than watch the way Wrexham play. But, you know, it's just a matter of what you enjoy watching. I wouldn't want to watch that every week. And something else that was pointed out to me by Pete Hannon earlier, and this is sort of sums up a lot of fans' feelings towards us at the moment. Do you know that in the last 2 games, right, which we had a midweek game this week and a Saturday game, only one team won both games, and that was Norwich City. No one else won both games. So actually, we were second best in our results over this weekend, winning one and drawing one. Only one team won twice. So when you look at that, it sums up the division. You know, every team is the same. They win one, they draw one, they lose one, they lose 2, they win 3, they draw 2, they lose 1. This division has been absolutely crazy, and there's still twists and turns to come. If we win at Derby, we've had 7 points from 3 games. That's a great return. That keeps us on for what we need to do to get into playoffs. But, you know, it's unlikely that we will make it because there's teams ahead of us who have got more points. But I watched the the Wrexham Swansea game on Friday night, and Wrexham played them off the park. They did, you know, and just watching. I keep going on about it. I mean, I'm not obsessed with Wrexham because there's a few teams that play like that. Not many. A lot of teams in our division play football, but you know that long ball forward is just like. And there's one up, and we've done it ourselves before. You're one up, you're all out trying to beat the team. You know, everyone's forward, they're all back, and there's a long ball out of defence, and they break and score. You know, and that just sums it up. So you know, I'm still positive, and the longer the season goes on, I sort of think that if we get, you know, if we finish 7th or 8th or 9th, it'll be a brilliant season for us. I mean, it'll be the best season we've had for years and years and years. And then next season, you know, we start again. I mean, listen, with Blues, I don't know where all these sort of entitled Blues fans have come from. I just don't understand it, because you know how many major trophies we've won in 150 years? Two League Cups, one of them in 1963 when it was over 2 legs. So you can't get, you know, don't sort of suddenly feel, oh my God, like, you know, we're not going to win anything. I mean, Jesus, just understand, you know, we Blues, we're not Villa, you know. You start to sound like Villa fans. And I mean, fair play, like yesterday, I was so glad Man United beat them, because I don't want them to get anywhere near the top 6, you know, and it's very, very sweet when we see them going wrong. Brilliant yesterday, the girls had a win, so the girls look like they're going to get promoted into the WSL, and the men will as well. But, you know, it's a 5-year plan, and we're in year 3. It gives us 2 more years to get into the Premier League, which is where Tom Wagner, you know, said it's a 5-year plan. That, you know, I didn't say it, Chris Davis didn't say it. And the other thing you have to remember is people are saying that Davis is boring, like pat, the way he plays, pass. You forget that it's Tom Wagner's way of playing. He recruited Chris Davis because he knows Chris Davis plays that way. He knows Chris Davis, you know, likes that 4-2-3-1 setup. That's why he was employed. So it's nothing to do with, you know, we brought Chris Davis in and he's made the club play this way. It's Tom Wagner you're talking about. Paul James saying they started supporting us last year after winning League One. So in their mind, they should win the Championship this year also. I mean, Paul, I think there are some people like that, but surprisingly, you know, like some people make comments and have a little look in the profile, and they're like, you know, they're in the 50s and 60s, so I just don't understand it. You know, it's not like, I just don't get it. You know, I mean, we're Blues. What do you seriously think we're going to, like, win everything we go in for? I mean, seriously. And don't, and you know, don't come out with the one for Saturday about, like, oh, well, you know, they don't put enough effort in. That team worked hard on Saturday. We had some great performances. We had 2 players in the EFL team of the week. Beadle, which I know that will absolutely destroy some people, but Beadle was in the EFL team of the week for, you know, like 2 absolutely outstanding saves. It kept us in the game, to be honest. And then the other one was Marvin Dux, he was outstanding in the game on Saturday. So, you know, I don't know. I just don't know what to say, really. I'm not going to come on here today and complain about the performance on Saturday, because I thought we played well. You know, if we play like that every time we go out, we're going to win a lot more games than we lose. I don't know what else to say. Let me know what you think. You know, if you disagree, fair enough. You know, say so. Some of the vitriolic comments are really, like, just unnecessary, and you know, the manager getting absolutely slated for doing as well, if not better, than every other manager in the division over the last 2 games, except for one, and that was Clemente at Norwich, who we beat, you know, 5 games ago. At least saying unreal, Steve. Beadle Saturday, he was, wasn't he? I mean, that headed save he made Um, I forget who it was. Who did he? Oh, Patrick Bamford. The headed save was just unbelievable. Yeah, how he went down. Bamford, in all fairness, should have made it impossible for him to save. But to be fair, I mean, he headed it low, down towards his feet. He's a big lad, Beadle. It's hard getting down like that, but he was absolutely brilliant. Um, the Harvey point better than nothing, and ninth of the table. Happy days. Well, it is, and we went on. We beat Derby on Saturday, and a few results go the other way, and suddenly, like, you're right back there. And I know what people are thinking. Well, if we'd won on Saturday, we'd now be sitting 2 points behind Wrexham. We would, but we didn't win, and neither did lots of other teams. It was a worldy save, Paul Beadle save. It was. Anyway, there's some people that are not going to be happy, until either Chris Davis goes or Beadle never plays again or whatever. I don't know I really don't know what the hating is on Beadles. I just do not. Well, I do. It's because originally it was when Chris Davis replaced. Also, I've had a few bad games. I remember Chris Davis replaced him, and that's really what it was about. Nothing else. And everyone fair enough, you're going to support Rocky, he's a Brummie and all the rest of it, but you don't support one player in the team and turn on the one that the manager's picked instead of him. I mean, fucking hell, what's the matter with you? He's a kid as well, he's only 21. It's just bullying in its, at its worst. It really is. And, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're jumping on that particular bandwagon. And don't, and we see it all the time in the group, this thing about it's crap. It's just the worst kind of comment when people say, "Is it just me, or was Beadle a bit slow off his line, or what? Is it just me, or was what they mean is, oh no, come on, let's all pile in on Beadle. Why don't you just put that in your post and you remove it straight away instead of making me remove it 5 minutes later? Because we all know where it's going. Listen, I know what these passive aggressive comments and posts are like. I mean, they're just so obvious, and no one's fooled by them. So, but the main thing is, we're Blues, aren't we? No one else is us. And Derby on Saturday, so that's going to be an interesting one. I thought the lineup on sort of the lineup I expected, except I actually, and this is where, this is why I'm not a manager and Chris Davis is. I would have left Ducks out and played Priska up top with Stansfield behind him. Had we played that, we probably wouldn't have played quite so well as we did. But it's pretty much, I think, that that lineup is pretty much like going to be a settled team now, I think. The back four were good. I know that we swapped left-sided centre halves. I think we did that because Jack Robinson got booked, and I think it was getting a little bit hefty up there, and I don't think Chris Davis wanted to risk Robinson getting a second booking, so we brought Panzo on. Apart from that, I think the back four played well. Yeah, I do. I think they played well. Midfield, Solis and Pike together. I love them together. And already you got a few people saying about Solis, he gives the ball away. It's not so much he gives the ball away. When you've gone in and broken up the play like that, sometimes an outstretched leg will give the ball to a member of opposition, and it does do your head in a bit. Sometimes, when he's just won a ball, he tries to make a pass that perhaps is sometimes a little bit too ambitious, but he's going to learn with that. But he's a very, very good player. And Pike, congratulations, son, he's just been called back up into the Korean team. So he had another good game, didn't he? Paul James found out it when people hijack decent threads with snide comments rather than have the bottle to start a thread of their own. Yeah, it's the nature of the beast, really, Paul. Social media is social media, and it carries a lot of threat with it. I know more than anyone. I mean, bloody hell, I'm slated left, right and centre all over. some of the other Facebook groups simply because I stand up to people and tell them we don't want you. You know, I'm not scared to go head to head and tell people that you know you're not welcome here and you're leaving. Um, but I understand, and I don't like doing it, and I understand a lot of people uh, don't want to comment in a lot of groups because they're scared of the flack they get, and I understand that completely. You know, I mean, it's very it can make you anxious. It can you know make you overthink things. It's a horrible thing, and I think we should all be a little bit aware of that sometimes when we make comments. I'm sometimes a little bit overprotective. I understand that, but it's only because I'm used to this. You know, I've been doing this now for 2.5 years, and the amount of comment, you know, like we get like sometimes 15,000 interactions a day. You know, it's an awful lot of traffic that we get, and you do get used to it, and you get used to sort of seeing what you see. Um, but you know, we've all got opinions, and like I said, if someone does honestly prefer, you know, every time we get the ball to hit it long, then just say so. Be it, you know, you don't have to blame the current manager for it. You can say, I don't really like the way Chris Davis plays possession football, and I'd rather get the ball at the back and hit it forward. I just watched. I just watched a Wolves Blues game from, you know, like it would have been about 81, 82. At Molineux, it was the fourth game of the season, and we drew one each. Wolves actually, I don't think had won a game. They'd just been, I think they'd just been relegated. Um, it was the Coton, Hopkins, Hertford team, and watching that game, Pete Annan made the point. Watch this game, you know, and seriously, you know, you wouldn't want to watch it because it literally is what I've just been saying. In those days, you get the ball at the back, you hit it forward. That's it. There's no real tactics. You hit the ball forward, and then they 70-80% of the time win the ball, coming onto the ball with a header or something. And then it goes back, and then we hit it forward, and then they hit it forward. It's a bit like basketball, and it could well be that a lot of our older members don't really understand, you know, the possession game. It's fairly new. It's like it's sort of 10 years old, isn't it? You know, this sort of tiki-taka, as it's called in Spain, which is what nearly every Spanish team plays now. There's very few. I think Atletico Madrid play a very English kind of game, but most teams over here play tiki-taka, and it's lovely to watch. You know, you can really enjoy watching a team get out of a tight corner in defence by playing the way out of it. You know, I mean, do you really want to see that long ball? You know, just watching that Wolves and Blues game, Pat van den Hauwe gets the ball at left back, takes 2 steps forward, hits it long, diagonally across field, left-footed, and you know, it just goes into a ruck of players. The other side, you know, the same thing happens with Jim Hagan, hits it long, right-footed into the ruck of players. Wolves defender wins the ball, they get it, he hits it long. You know, it's like it is an exciting football. Not to me, it might be to you. So, you know, we've all got our opinion on that, but don't blame the manager for playing a way that you don't like. What you would have to do about that is complain to Tom Wagner, because he's the one that chose that particular style of play. Tom Wagner, on the very first open house, if you want to go back, you can watch it. He explained the way that we're going to play, and that was exactly what he did. And we signed Rooney to play that way, and Rooney did try and play that way. I think 2 things with Rooney: he didn't have the players to do it, and secondly, he's not really a great man manager. He does understand the tactics, but he's not a great man manager. And then, you know, when we eventually got, you know, obviously then we just had Philly managing until the end of the season. But then when we recruited then for the champion for League One, then we recruited and signed a manager that was going to play tiki-taka, or, you know, possession-based football, and that's exactly what we got, and nothing's changed, you know. Chris Davis isn't, when people are saying you ought to try something new, Chris Davis isn't going to change his philosophy on football. It's like asking Phil Parkinson to play a passing game. He hasn't. He doesn't understand it. Well, probably understands it, but he ain't going to play it because he doesn't play that kind of football. So what you do is you employ a manager that plays the way you don't look at. I've seen people say, Sean Dyche. I mean, seriously, you want to see Sean Dyche manage the Blues? It's like it's just absolutely ridiculous. But then you see other people, talking about who's the old Leeds manager. You know what I mean? Let's get him in. Well, he plays exactly the same way that Chris Davis plays. So why would you want a player a manager that plays possession football? And it's no good saying. I've seen it again at the weekend. It always comes out, there's no plan A, no plan B, no plan C. There is in every single game. I've watched Blues change their system so many times in the last 20 minutes of games over this season. It's very, very rarely that we stay in that same setup. It's very rare. I don't know, I can watch it sometimes and people say, why did he only, he had no plan B, but I've watched it. I've watched the system change in that game. I don't know. They haven't seen it. I don't know. But we've got Derby coming up, so that's the next one. And then we've got the international break, so I think that's going to come at a good time for us. It'll give us a little bit of time then to get our head together and look at those last 7 games, I think it is. Derby away is not going to be an easy game. We're going to talk about that one later in the week. Because they're not, Derby, we know what John Eustace's teams do. Again, they're not a footballing team. John Eustace's team is a little bit like Gary Rowett, like they stick a lot of men behind the ball and they try and not concede, which is fair enough. But again, it's not an exciting thing to watch. Lee Harvey's saying, if I had to choose, Steve, Thomas Frank, yeah, but I'm happy with Davis as he needs more time. Yeah, but they're the same kind of manager, that's the point I'm getting at. I mean, when someone suggests, in a lot of ways, it makes more sense for someone to say, I would rather see, I'd like to see Sean Dyche come in because he plays nothing like the way we play. Sean Dyche is, a bit of a dinosaur of a manager, isn't he? Whereas, Thomas Frank, okay, if someone says, get rid of him and get Thomas Frank because I'm sick of this, sideways and backwards football, well, don't get Thomas Frank because he's exactly the same. If they can't find a pass forward, then the ball's going to go sideways or backwards rather than give possession away. That's the whole thing, that possession football is exactly what it sounds like. It's about retaining possession. And that's why we've got one of the highest rates of possession in the division. We haven't been massively successful with it this season, but we're newly promoted team. We're currently 9th in the table, and it'll be interesting to see where we finish up, where Wrexham finish and where Charlton finish. All 3 teams, promoted. But it's not, if you go into the Premier League with, if Wrexham were to get into the Premier League and they retain Phil Parkinson as a manager, which I think they will do because how could they not, then they're going to have an awful shock, because teams in the Premier League are a lot much better at playing possession football than we are, and then every other team in the Championship is. So if you get a really good possession place team like Man City, they're going to destroy a team that sits with 5 men behind the ball. But even then, sometimes you can see Man City struggle to break teams down. It happens in football. In terms of performances on Saturday, I think if you had to have a man of the match, it would have to be Dux or Beadle. I think you got to go with Dux, haven't you? Because of he scored a goal. He was so unlucky with that second free kick at the bar, and then hit the post and all that stuff, And his positioning was really, really good, and I think they were absolutely terrorised by him at times. Paddy Roberts is always a good steadying influence on Blues. His possession play is good, and Osman absolutely at times on Saturday. I was really surprised by him. It isn't just going forward and his pace. Seeing him tracking back into the final third of the pitch to recover a ball, for me, tells you a lot about that player. I mean, he's extremely highly rated. I looked at his value just out of interest on, I think it was what's it called, transfer something or whatever, and he's valued at 17 million. And I'm not surprised because this lad's going to have a big future, isn't he? He's such a good player. Solis and Pike against one of the stronger midfield teams in the country proved how good they are at doing what they do. And the two centre backs look really comfortable with each other. Panzo looked fine when he came on as well, but I do think I hope Jack Robinson keeps his place because I just think he has that bit more experience than Panzo. But I'm happy with either one of them. And so someone again, like when we're talking about people commenting, what's Neumann done? Has he fell out with Davis or something? Because why did they bring Panzo on when Robinson went off? Because Panzo's a left-footed centre half. Neumann isn't. He's right-footed. We don't want to play with two right-footed centre halves. It's the whole reason we bought a left-footed one. The wide players still played well. I think Stansfield, as usual, run his thingies off, but he wasn't. He didn't have his best game, but Stano's presses and runs so much and does so much fetching and carrying for the team. He's such an important part of the team, and he's one of those that you don't. I was going to say you don't notice him until he's not there, but you do notice him. But if he wasn't there, you would really, really feel it, because Stansfield plays a huge part for us. In the way we play, and then we've already gone on to Ducks, haven't we? And Ducks playing in the 10 was good. It was nice to watch. Pete Hannon's on. How you doing, Pete? I'd like to know who those that want CD and think we should replace him with to play the brand of football they want, but they never do. Right, I understand what I think. You missed a word out there, or I read it wrong. I think what Pete's saying is, if you are one of the people that, it's fair enough if you don't want Chris Davis. What Pete's saying is true. What people do is they put in, get rid of Davis, and we don't want Chris Davis. But they never say, but what I would like is to bring in someone like Sean Dyche, so that when we get the ball, we won't play it sideways or backwards. We'll just hit it long up the pitch. That's what Pete means, and I understand, because there never is an answer to it. Or the majority of people will mention a manager that plays exactly the same way that Chris Davis does, and probably haven't had much success doing it. You got a few that have got promoted from the Championship and usually gone straight back down. So it's not an easy thing. Being a manager is not an easy thing. But I think the other thing to look at as well is, teams that stick with managers tend over a long period of time to do better than ones that change them every 5 minutes, hoping to hit on one that's brilliant. And a manager that doesn't get you up in the first season after being promoted from the Championship it's not a bad manager. And I know people are going, well, look at the money he's given, look at honestly, like, hand on heart, can you lot say that you knew all of those players that were bought in? Had you ever heard of them before? I know that you didn't. You hadn't heard of them before. So it's not like he's gone out there and bought a load of well-known household names. We haven't done that. We've gone for our own style of player. We've got them cheaper than we probably would have if you have to buy the same quality player from somewhere else, all right, we've bought some foreign players that are taking some time to bed into the English game, but you've got to accept that. You know, you can't have it every way. And I think next season we're going to be a really, really big threat if we don't do anything this season. Next season, of course, don't forget it's the top 8 that get into playoffs as well. But I think we're going to be jockeying in those top positions. It's interesting to see as well that the top 2 teams at the moment in the division, the top 2 teams in the division, Coventry City and Middlesbrough. Coventry, Coventry play football and they get the ball forward pretty quickly. They're a pretty dynamic team. They haven't. I think they're going to struggle in the Championship unless they spend in Premier League, unless they spend big money. But it's interesting to see how it's shaping up behind them, because Middlesbrough, another one that play nice football. They knock the ball around, play out the back. Third in the league, Ipswich, who now look to me more likely to finish second than Middlesbrough. Just look at the teams at the top end of that table and see how they play. Look how they play. And then tell me that, those teams that play football aren't the ones that succeed, because they obviously are. I think Ipswich are going to be really hard to, they've had a fabulous run, haven't they, over the last few months, and definitely, I think they're going to be going up. Lee Harvey's saying, and Beadle from the under-21s England, soon as I seen him, thought he'd be good for Blues. Yeah, he's a very good keeper. He's still learning his game. He's a bit like Chris Davies, people don't give him the opportunity. He's only a kid. He's done an awful lot for his age. I'm guessing he'll probably go back to Brighton at the end of the season. I don't know. Hopefully we can do a deal for him. But we'll have to wait and see about that. We've got a few players on loan. Osman is on loan. I don't think Brighton are going to be parting with him, although it would be absolutely brilliant if they did. John Solis, I think, has played 6 now. He plays another 5, and it springs the contract agreement into place for the purchase of him. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Doyle. I do feel sorry for him, but I think we've tried to toughen up the defensive mids rather than look for creativity there. And look for the creativity with the wingers and the number 10. It hasn't really worked out that well, because I think we just haven't got a natural number 10. I mean, we have in Ducks, but I don't think he's the number 10 we need. You need like a bit of an engine, like Doyle. But if we play Doyle every week, then you have to, in Chris Davis's mind, think who you're not going to play, because those are the ones where you have got literally 3 players almost for every position. For those 4 midfield places, well, 1 striker and 3 midfielders. So you've got the 10, the 7 and the 11 if you want, and then you've got the 10, the 8 and the 6 with Pake and Solis. But so the 7 and the 11 are pretty well sorted, I think. But the number 10, that's the position. So what would you do? Play Doyle instead of Ducks, or instead of Stansfield, or I don't know. Sean's on, Sean Bulldog. Good afternoon, Sean. I despair sometimes with our fans just debating with someone who wants CD out, and when I ask why, he says, look at Wrexham. Well, so I say Parkinson, it took him over 2 years to get them out of the National League. They lose the argument and start having a hissy fit. It's not. The thing is, Sean, it's like I was just saying before you came on. It's like, if you like Phil Parkinson's style of play, fair enough. And I just talked about Wrexham before. You know, if you want, every time you get the ball in your own half, if you want the ball just to be hit up the pitch, then Parkinson's your man, or Sean Dyche, or someone like that. And it's fair enough if that's what you want. You know, but it wouldn't be for me. And anyway, like, you know, if we ever, we would never sign Phil Parkinson, not as long as you've got Tom Healy and Tom Wagner in charge of the team. That ain't going to happen. So, you know, I think that has to go out of everyone's head. But I take the point, Sean, you know, and people do start to get all pissy about it. Pete saying he loved listening to Phil Summerall's brother Steve yesterday. Great memories of a great era, and more importantly, a wonderful man. Yeah, it was nice, Pete, and quite a lot of people have been on and had a look at that. It was interesting because I seen Cherry Summerall tried to join the conversation at 10 o'clock last night, so she must have probably been watching it and tried to join it. I don't know, but yeah, it was nice, and he's such a nice lad, Phil's brother. We were talking about the hat-trick he scored against Hull City in '68, and I have to be perfectly honest, I was at that game and I didn't realise Phil had scored a hat-trick, but I was a kid, you know. I remember, and as I remember it, I thought we'd won 6-2, but we didn't, we won 5-2. Lee's saying gutted about Wagner out for a bit. Yeah, Kai Wagner's going to be out until after the international break, so I think it's only one more game, but we'll see. You know, I think Ethan Laird has done an absolutely brilliant job covering him. Ethan's looked fantastic, hasn't he? And it'll be interesting to see when Kai Wagner comes back. Is Ethan going to take over in the two shirt? Personally, I think he should, and Wagner get back into the left. It then gives us the other opportunity with Watter, but I think he's going to struggle to get in now with Solis and Peck in front of him. John Farmer saying, I can see Southampton beating Wrexham to that 6th spot. Yeah, and what you have to remember, John, is that getting into 6th spot doesn't get you into the Premier League. You have to play 3 more games and win them all. Well, you've got to win them all, but you got to, you know, one's over 2 legs and one's the final. And Southampton are definitely, you know, like, well, it's opinion, isn't it? Southampton are miles better footballing team than Wrexham, in my opinion. But you know, we're not out of it. We're not, and let's just wait and see. Southampton, I think, is everyone's sort of dark horse to sneak in there, and that they are a good team. And another one, you know, that were relegated last season, and you looked at them halfway through the season, them and Ipswich and Sheffield United, and you think, and Leicester, and you think, bloody hell, like, you know, the 3 that came down haven't done very well, and then suddenly, towards the end of the season, they start easing into gear. Obviously, Leicester have had a nightmare of a season, and could possibly go down, you know, who knows. It wouldn't hurt them to go down. It doesn't hurt anyone to go down into that League One, and you know, like, take a look at things and see how it shapes up. It's a different thing, League One. Harry Parker's on saying, now then, you bunch of chimney boys, Derby, Wrexham and Southampton will drop points midweek. Then see how we feel. You know what I've done? I forgot to put my light on. I thought it looked a bit odd today. And seeing Harry, I thought, oh, Harry will notice it if my light ain't on. Look at that. There you go. Look, that's better. I was sitting in the dark. I just looked up and I thought, hang on a minute, my light's off. Yeah, I can't. Who's Wrexham playing in the week, Harry? Will drop points midweek. Then say, oh yeah, I think they're playing, aren't they? So we're not. It's not impossible for us to get in there. It isn't. And stranger things have happened, and who knows? We could come with a run. I mean, we've gone 2 games unbeaten now since the 3 that we painfully lost, and that's how our usual runs of unbeaten games and points goes. You know, we win one, we draw one, we win two. You know, and that it could easily happen. Don't rule it out. Obviously, if we're not careful, we're going to run out of games. But if we finish seventh, I'd be over the moon. In all honesty, I would. And then look at next season and think, right, you know, this is it. I can't see Tom Wagner. You know, people keep going on about, you know, oh, Tom Wagner's going to stand this. Tom Wagner's not, you know, oh, like the owners aren't going to be happy with this. So it's like, it's absolute crazy, you know, because we've heard Tom Wagner say so many times that he's like 100% behind Chris Davis. I know what you're going to say. That's what every board says. I don't think Tom Wagner's your man to say that. I just think he'd keep himself, you know, he just keeps dumb. Away at Watford. Well, Watford actually, you know, like we're sort of level with Watford at the moment, aren't we? I think, or a point in front of them. I can't remember, but that's a hard game. Watford are one of the better teams in the division, and and also, you know, an awful lot of good players. Also play a nice brand of football. I really want to watch that game. So I'm presuming that's going to be tomorrow or Wednesday. So I'll be tuning into that to see what happens, and see how Wrexham get on. I don't know who I want to win. I do, of course I do. I want Watford to batter them, but really I want it to be a draw, because then it still gives us like a chance of sneaking in there, doesn't it? So a draw would be all right for us on that. Yeah, so looking forward to Saturday's game at Derby. I don't know if people have got any sort of idea about how they think that one's going to be. It'll be an interesting one, of course, going back, and John Eustace and the usual sort of stuff. So that's going to be a very, very interesting one. Paul's just telling me it's 7:45 on Tuesday. I'll be watching that tomorrow then, Paul. Gives us something to look forward to. Yeah, well done to the ladies for yesterday as well. A hard-earned 3 points at Southampton. Just the one goal in it, and it was hard earned, and I'm glad to see the ladies back in winning ways and back in second place. Yeah, like and like Pete was saying about yesterday's chat with Steve Summerhill. It's like he died a week ago today, Phil. And when you look back at that team, you know. I guess then, you know, that's how it was played. You know, it was just long ball football. It's exactly what it was, and we were all okay with it. And then you see something better, and that's what you want. You know, that's what some of us want. Lee saying Brady on the other hand wants everybody yesterday. Tom wants everything yesterday. Well, yeah. Tom Brady, you mean? I mean, don't forget Tom Brady. Really, I once Pete. I was talking to Pete about him once, and I referred to Tom Brady as like the adult Beau Brummie, and he's sort of, isn't he? You know, is that one where we're all like, you know, Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that? But you know, Tom's got a sort of minimal. He has a minimal financial input in the club, so his actual ownership of the club is tiny, you know. But I think he does have that you know, one-to-one relationship with Chris Davis. I think they get on really well, and that's another reason why I don't think there's any danger of Chris Davis going unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. Harry's saying that ladies going up, 3 home games coming up. Yeah, we should do. We want to get in that second place. I think we're 9 points behind Charlton at the moment, or is it 6? Charlton lost, didn't they? So you know, we still got every chance of going up in second. Obviously, like to catch Charlton, but I don't think that's going to happen now. Yeah, I know what you mean, Lee. Yeah, you know, he's a sportsman, of course. He wants to win everything, and he wants to do it now. And I think we all want to do that, you know, but it doesn't always happen like that. And it's nice to have someone like Tom Brady on board, Lee, because you know he has the experience of winning big time in sports, and obviously American football isn't British football. It's a completely different game, but it's that thing, isn't it? You know. it's the number one sport in the USA, and it's massive, the same as the Premier League is over here. You've got to be in it to win it, and we need to get into that Premier League. Of course, we do ASAP. Sean saying I thought we could have been more adventurous against Sheffield, Steve. We had the man advantage. At least have someone on or near to the halfway line uh, on their corner. It infuriates me. What you think? Um, I think we look a lot more safety first now. In all honesty, um, with Solis and Pike in front of the back four. Um, when we when we're defending, um, I presume that's what you talked about on their corner. When we're defending, we don't. I'll put it this way, right? We had a point. We didn't want to end up with no points, and I know that having the man on the halfway line for the break gives us the opportunity of the break, but then having the extra man in the box or in our own half makes it a lot less likely that the opposition are going to score. I know what you're saying, Sean. Honestly, I do. I understand you totally, and it can be a bit frustrating. I know, but with the players we had on the pitch as well, we haven't got anyone that's going to, burn the way Kyogo probably would, and we're not going to leave Osman halfway up. It can only be Stansfield or Ducks if it was Saturday, and neither of those two really have got the pace to chase the ball like that. And they're both too valuable in our own half. They're both good footballers. So I don't know, Sean. It's one of that. It's a difficult one, mate. And they've got some quality, Sheffield United. I don't know. Harry's saying if we rewatch the game against Blades on Blues Plus, we played really well in that game. We were going on a run. We did play really well, and I've seen a lot of people say it. And the thing is, I've heard a lot of people say that aren't Birmingham supporters. The first one to say it, of course, was Chris Wilder. He said how good we are and what a great job Chris Davis has done. And he doesn't have to say that, but he said he told his players not to expect a team that's going to try and hit it long. We're gonna play football, and it's going to be a hard game, and I think that's a big compliment to Chris Davis coming from Chris Wilder. And we are to beat, Harry. We are frustrating at times, but it's like I was just saying a few minutes ago, an hour ago. Out of every game last week that was played, everyone played 2 games last week. Only one team won both games, and that was Norwich City. So it tells you a lot about the Championship at the moment. So basically, after the Sheffield United game, for everyone, going mad, pulling the rear out, we need to get rid of the manager and all that. Our manager did as well as every other manager, if not better, in the Championship, except for one in the last 2 games. Lee Harvey is saying, who do we bring in the summer, and where do you think we need to strengthen? Well, I think we need to strengthen all over the pitch. I think we're pretty well loaded with wingers, but I think it really needs a look at, if we, and it depends what division we're in. I mean, I'm taking it we're going to be in the Championship. I think we need to get an absolute definite settled back 4. So we need to have that left-sided centre half shown up. I don't think either of the left-sided centre halves at the moment will be the answer next season. Jack Robinson could be the answer to be a second centre half. The fullbacks, I think we're quite we're strong in the fullback positions, both fullbacks. I think we probably need another defensive mid. I think we need a playmaker, depending who we keep. I'm guessing Doyle might go back. We need a sort of Barry Bannon kind. I hate saying that kind of footballer, you know, who's involved, who can put his foot on the ball, who'll fight. He can also break play up, you know. That sort of player. I mean, Solis is great at breaking it up. Pake is more of the ball player at the two of them, but neither of them are like, you know, won't dominate the passing game. So we need someone that can do that. We need, you see, we have to look and think: Are we gonna buy like a 20 goal a season striker that's already established, or are we going to put our money on Priska to be able to do that job? He's a strong lad. He's young, but you know, he hasn't got that experience yet. I think we bought him as a long-term project. We got Jay Stansfield, who is always going to be there. Wingers, you know, we got loads of wingers, haven't we? And Ducks, he's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? So I don't know. The manager and the club are going to have a really big look at the playing staff in the summer. The Arbisson, I've seen somewhere that the Duck is getting interest from teams abroad. And you say no surprise there. I would be surprised, honestly. I would, because it's like we're a championship team. I mean, he hasn't set the world on fire. He really hasn't, you know. I mean, you have to say this. And I heard, I forget the team he played for. It wasn't Hertha Berlin. I forget who it was. But I remember that they were some fans, some German fans being interviewed, and they were asking about Dutch, you know, what's he like? And they're saying exactly what he is like. He has got an amazing talent sometimes, but he goes missing too often. It's exactly what they said, and it's exactly what I'm seeing, you know. So I don't know, Lee. You know, he may be getting interest from somewhere. I don't know. It's just really difficult, isn't it? Harry I'd like to see Vopotnik. Yeah, he's a very good. He plays for Swansea, Vopotnik, actually, Harry. But he's a very, very good centre forward. He was unfortunate against Watford the other night, against Wrexham the other night. He did have actually one break, and he was 1-on-1, and he actually fluffed it. But Vopotnik I do like, and yeah, he's a Swansea player, mate. Harry's saying Werder Bremen, yeah, okay, Werder Bremen, yeah, so you know. But challenging, you know, I mean, and this is what we got to look at in the close season and see, well, who stays, who goes. I think we spent a lot of money and bought a lot of players in the January window to try and have a push, and it just probably isn't going to work, but who knows. Paul James saying, do you remember when we mentioned Joel Perreault here? Yeah, I'd have liked to see him. Have seen that happen. Yeah, lots of players were mentioned, of course, in the close season. There's a lot of very good footballers. I think you spoke, Paul, the other day about Galbraith, another very, very good footballer. And then you can look at players like Finn Aziz. You know, there's numerous players. There's just lots of championship players that are very, very good. But then again, you've got, you know, would we want to bring a couple of Premier League players down a division and just try just one season and get them up there? You know, Lee Harvey saying Chambers. There's a lot of footballers that we can look at. Yeah, Harry-san, I meant Swansea. Was going to say Chaktavadze from Watford. Yeah, another good one. I meant Swansea. Was going to say, yeah, Chaktavadze. Yeah. Well, Watford got some great players. You know, they're very, very quick in transition as well. But I think we have to Chamberlain. Yeah, Lee Chamberlain. So I think you know, it's one of those days where let's not start speculating about the summer signings yet. Jesus, better just go over the January one. But it'll be interesting to see what we do in the close season, because it's going to need a big looking at, because I think a lot of players have got to go, haven't they? I think probably, you know, you're going to see the likes of Kyogo go in, and Kanya, and you know, look at the left fullbacks. You know, is Buchanan gonna recover? I hope he does. Uh, the right side, it's just so difficult. I mean, there's such a lot to do in the close season if we don't get into the playoffs, and if we do and we don't win them, there's a lot to do in the close season. You have to look, I think, realistically now and say it's going to be very, very difficult for us to get into those playoffs, but not impossible. Of course, it isn't. Until it's mathematically impossible, I won't sort of give up. But it's a very challenging division to get out of. But I think next season we'll be better set for it. And also, it's the top 8 next season, isn't it? So the top 2 go up automatically, and the next 6 go into playoffs. So that would be interesting. It'll probably be like a mini league or something. I don't know, but that'll be good. And it's not going to be a very long, close season this season because we've got the World Cup to come. So that'll be exciting. So we've been on now for over an hour. We haven't had that many comments today, so that's quite good. Well, it's not that good, is it? Lee B is definitely not going to be the player we all knew to chance after being out for so long. I don't know. He came back from injury before. He's an extremely good fullback. You know, there's no doubt about that. Lee Buchanan. I just hope he gets himself well because what a lovely lad as well, isn't he? And he's an absolutely great fullback. We'd have to just wait and see what happens. He had a little setback. Thing is, when you're recovering from an injury like that, a bad one like that knee injury, then all the musculature around that leg and around that knee is going to, obviously hasn't been used for a while, and it's going to be a little bit more fragile than it normally would be. So he's going to be more susceptible to hamstrings and calves for a bit until he gets fully up to speed. It's just part of the recovery process. But listen, it's been great talking to you. I'm going to come back on Wednesday. We'll have a little midweek catch up, just give it a bit of that, you know, what we like doing, and we'll see how the results go tomorrow night. Hopefully, Southampton and Watford draw, Southampton and Wrexham draw, and all the other results go our way over the next few days, and we win every game until the end of the season, and we go and win the playoffs, so we go up. You know, that would be the ideal scenario. But you've got to say it, you like up the Blues. Look, keep right on going, lads, because it's what it's all about. It's us. You know, we're Small Heath. Nobody owes us anything. We don't expect anything. You know, we're proper Blues, we are. And whatever happens, because we all know that whatever happens, we're going to be here next season. Doesn't matter what happens. So, well, you know, God willing. Don't talk too soon, Steve. Listen, guys, thank you so much for your time today. I've really enjoyed having our little chat as usual. It's a brand new week. Let's all be positive, and I'll speak to you Wednesday. And of course, joining on the group. If you get the opportunity to have a look at that Steve Summerhill podcast, go into YouTube and watch it because it is worth watching, particularly if you're one of the older ones of us that remembers Phil Summerhill, R.I.P.A. Phil. So, guys, thank you so much, and I'm going to catch you soon. Up the Blues.